Peace at your hand. Part 2. Chapter 3, Interview with African Wiseman. The story of African Wiseman is a story of a man who was a ruler of both spirit and human kingdoms at the same time. In trying to know how he managed the two kingdoms at the same time, he revealed his encounter with the devils and how he became their ruler. He also revealed how he was converted to Christ. Question. Mr. Wiseman, you have been able to hold all your 30 children together in a bond of love, peace, and unity. You have done so many remarkable things in our society. May I have the privilege to ask you some questions about yourself, sir? Answer. Yes, please, you may ask. Question. We all call you Mr. Wiseman, but who are you and what is your real name? Answer. My name is Ogbadudu alias Okiabua. Question. Why are you called Okiabua? Answer. I am Okiabua because I am a ruler of two kingdoms at the same time. Question. Can you please explain? Answer. In the first place, I am a man like you, born of my mother and my father. My father was a priest of many gods. He taught me in all things concerning the workings of these gods, and it made me curious to know more about the world in which we live and how the gods came to be. I asked myself, who are these gods? How many are they? How do they relate to human beings? Why do they not have bodies as do human beings? How powerful are they? What can they do and how do they do it? One day, I decided to invoke one of the gods as my father had taught me. When I felt its presence, I questioned him thus. What is your name? And it answered and told me. Then I asked him, what is your mission? It answered and said, I am here to perform whatsoever you would like me to do, provided it is within the boundary of my operation that the law permits me to do. This answer roused my curiosity and I asked again, what do you mean by boundary? It answered and said, I am of the lower caste and we are many in my group, each with different assignments. There are other castes, which are higher than my group with different assignments as well. I asked again, could you give me an example of what you are saying? It said thus, if you send me to a human with higher spirit than my own boundary permits, even though, I will obey your command, because you are my master, but that man's spirit will turn me back to you. If the mission you sent me to do were not righteous, it would return back to you. How do you know that a human spirit is higher or lower than your own? It said there is light in every human being's spirit. The nearer you are to the higher law, the brighter the light in your spirit is. Do you have light in you as a spirit? I asked. It replied and said no. Then I asked him, why do you not have a body? It answered and said, my group and I rebelled against a higher law and order, and the consequence of our action led us not to have body. Nevertheless, we have permission to find abode in any human being's spirit if that human being allows us to do so. I asked again, why do you not abide with my spirit? It replied and said, I could not. Then I asked again, why could you not abide with my spirit? It answered, there is light in you that scare me away from you as a co-inhabitant. Nevertheless, I accept to be your servant instead. I asked the god again to go and call all its groups that I might be their master. The god went and called all its groups and I became their master and ruler. As you have seen, I am a man of no small material means. I have many wives and children. I rule the society here as well. Is this not Okiabua? Question. You taught your children about Jesus Christ. Nevertheless, you are not a Christian, how did you come about the name? Answer. After my long conversation with the God, I started to ponder over the meaning of higher laws, light, righteousness and the connection with the brightness of light in the soul of man. Then I decided to invoke the highest God I know and required him to speak the truth about the spirit levels and their meanings. When I felt his presence, I asked him his name. He answered and said it was Lucifer. I asked him, to which level of the spirit do you belong? He answered and said the highest level in the celestial kingdom. I asked him again, why are you here? He answered and said this is where we are allowed to roam around in search of abode in human beings' spirit by law. You talk of kingdoms, how many kingdoms are above you? He answered and said there are 2 more kingdoms above us, namely, the terrestrial and the celestial. I asked him who inhabits those other kingdoms. He answered and said, the celestial kingdom belongs to God, the Creator and His people, while the terrestrial kingdom belongs to those good and honorable men who lived here on earth. I asked him again, do you say that there is another God greater than you are? He answered and said yes. Who is he? He answered and said God, the Creator. Why are you not allowed to live with any of them? He answered and said, in the beginning before the creation of the world, my followers and I rebelled against the plan. As a result, we were not allowed to have a body as you have. I asked him could I see God? He answered and said that he had no power to answer the question. From all these conversations with the gods, I found that there is another God greater than any of my father's gods. I also found out that I have power over these gods and therefore I must be higher than they are. In this case, I decided to seek for the high God where I belong. I did not know how to do it as I did invoke the small gods, however, I said to myself, use a simple meditation principle, which my father taught me and call on his name. I was sure of this method because, according to those gods, God the Creator operates on the highest level. However, I did not know how high my spirit was in relation to the level of God the Creator. Finally, I decided to meditate anyway. As soon as I was in my deep meditation, I saw a figure dressed in white robe, the robe and around this figure was whiter than the fresh snow. A voice called me by my name, Ogbedudu, Ogbedudu, thou seekest God the Creator, I am Jesus Christ, the Son of God, by whom all human race was and ever will be saved and through whose name thou shalt go to the Father, awake and be cheerful and teach this to all your children. I woke up and was filled with joy and happiness, such that I had never felt in my entire life. Question. You have a powerful influence over Lucifer, have you asked him how he controls and organizes all his groups? Answer. Yes, I did ask him and he invited me to their Millennium General Conference of the Human Vices. You read the verbatim speech of Lucifer in a special document that I will make available to you later. See Part 2 Chapter 4. Question. Your lifestyle, understandings of life and eternal perspectives have greatly changed since you found Jesus Christ. Would you tell me what exactly happened and what teachings you have received from him that could benefit your posterity? Answer. For this I refer you to the teachings and knowledge I received from the Almighty God through His Son Jesus Christ in another document that I will make available to you. See Part 2 Chapter 5 of this book. Lessons from the Wiseman's Life and Teachings. Wiseman's life and teachings contain several fundamental truths and principles about life. 1. The spirit of human beings is higher than that of the devils. 2. The spirit of man is light from God. 3. Righteous living increases the intensity and brightness of the light. 4. No devil has power to enter into the spirit of man without the man's permission. 5. The light in man is a strong protection for him against the devil's temptations. 6. Man has the power to control and command the devil if he desires. 7. The devil's freedom stimulates man's pleasure, thereby leading man to eternal captivity and woe. 8. The acceptance of the atonement of Christ gives the ultimate happiness. The obedience to the laws brings peace in the soul. 9. The wise man obeyed his father. By so doing, he changed the role of his father's servitude to the gods and became the God's master. Relation between the wise man's children and our present world. 1. The wise man's children were only 30 in number and they lived as one small family, while our world today is several billions in number who live in a huge forest of human race. 2. The wise men's children lived many years before today. We could have been among their posterity in one way or the other. 3. The teachings they received from their father is as true today as it was during the time when they lived. 4. The wise man and his children were human beings with spirits higher than the gods were. 5. We also are human beings with spirits higher than the gods are. Conclusion. In the beginning, the wise man's children lived in a family with 30 different opinions, ideas, beliefs and cultures because of their choices. The result was divisions, disunity, confusion and conflicts. After they went through their father's practical school, they learned how to transform all their diversities to strengths, peace and happiness. In the world today, we are like the wise man's children with billions of different diversities and living in a very huge area of land space called the world. The wise man's last teachings to his 30 children is very relevant to us in the world today. Quote, combine all your wisdoms, your foolishness, all your weaknesses, strengths, your knowledge, with love, unity, rule and order to create a force stronger than the mountain. If you do this, you will find peace and happiness. No force in the world can break you apart because you are united in love and eternal principles. Unquote. African wise man's last instruction to his posterity. The wise man foresaw what would become of his children after him. For this reason, he gave them his last lecture. His teachings are valid today as they were then when he gave the teachings to them many generations ago.